Well then, please welcome Deborah Allen.
So my story is about the mystery of the human heart. I say that art saves lives. Tonight's story is about how 30 artists saved my life. In 1986, I was 33, and I arrived at Entebbe Airport in Kampala, Uganda. My first time alone traveling overseas and into Africa as a director of August Wilson's astonishing play, Fences, at the National Theatre of Uganda. It was an extraordinary privilege to be allowed to do his work in a country where fences were being built in new ways and where this play had just come off Broadway. When I arrived, I thought that I would be taken off the plane like everybody else and taken into the airport. Instead, I was picked up in a big black sedan car like in the movies, and the driver said to me, "Deborah, would you please lay down in the back seat?" That was my entrance to Uganda, a big black car and the laying down in the back seat. Gaddafi was in the airport at the same time. It had been announced on the radio that I was coming into town. There wasn't that much happening. And we Americans had just killed one of his children with a bomb. And the embassy was concerned that my life was in danger. So my driver took me to a beautiful little hotel in Kampala, where little did I know at the time I would be the only person living there for over 9 months. This is where I began to learn about the kindness of strangers and the courage of the human heart. The National Theatre of Uganda has stood for a long time, and they've been through a lot. The artists who live there know things we don't know. But as artists, we all spoke the same language. They were smart, funny, improvisationally, spiritually awake, and some of the most fun people I've ever had a chance to work with. They took their art out into the villages. They were teaching about AIDS. They were trying to process the trauma of war. And they were doing this on no money at all. There was no television in Uganda at the time and very little radio. And so it was the artists that were educating the public. But I want you to know what they were carrying. Every single one of the 30 artists in my theater company had to go to war. I had come in directly. I was the first person into Uganda after the end of the genocide. 300,000 people had died in the city. The director of the National Theatre had been pulled out of the theater and shot in front of the men that I was working with. That is courage, to be able to not become bitter, not become afraid, but to keep working, keep going out into the villages. The first thing they wanted me to see was the Lowero Triangle, where they got me in a car and took me to see it. And looking back as a trauma specialist, I know they wanted me to know what they were carrying. And this is actually what I saw on my first day in Uganda. As we were sitting in the rehearsal hall, all 30 of us beginning to work on Fences, one of the men came running into the rehearsal hall, shouting, "There's a man in the lobby with a gun, and he is here for Deborah." And this is when my life changed forever. 15 of the men headed without a thought into the front of the lobby towards the man with the gun. And the other 15 wrapped me up around them and marched me backwards into the woods. These were men who had known me only a week. What was it? What kind of courage in the human heart did it take for them to walk towards what they knew was real? People die. People get shot. What did they know that would protect this young woman with their lives? We bonded in a way that has changed me forever. We went on to do Fences, an extraordinary play where the minister from Uganda said that it was a play for all countries and especially for his. And we went on to win the equivalent of the Ugandan Academy Award for Best Theater. And I can't help but think that their courage as artists was also really deeply embedded in their courage as human beings. And what they did for me made me a world citizen. I am so proud to be a tribal African. Thank you.
Give it up,